what have I told you? This is going to surprise you a lot. It surprised me when I found out this morning. What have I told you? The average time the ball's in play in the Premier League. Remember, 90-minute matches, average time the ball's in play in the Premier League, 55 minutes. Honestly, I'm completely shocked by this. 55 minutes, which is why former Arsenal Vice Chairman David Dein has suggested that football should be 2 halves now, 30-minute halves, and should be 60 minutes, which, again, angered a lot of people. But then when I tell you 55 minutes average playing time, you can understand why. And he joins us now. David, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very, very much. Is it basically because of that you're saying 60 minutes should now be football with a stopwatch because of the average football time in the Premier League?
Firstly, good morning, everybody.
Morning, Dave.
My point is I've fought all my life in football for accuracy and integrity. And the one thing which is lacking at the present moment when we're talking about accuracy is timekeeping. Whereas we've brought it into other parts, other areas of the game. You may remember we started years ago with the 10-yard spray and everybody worried whether that would work. And of course it didn't. It cut out an area of cheating in the game. We then went to goal line technology and everybody thought it would only be used once or twice. Meanwhile, goal line technology is being, even the other day again, Brentford against Liverpool, we scored a goal. It was goal line technology that captured that. A VAR now getting more accuracy in the game. And the one area which is still lacking, in my opinion, is the attention to timekeeping.
Yeah, no, you are right. Because, I mean, I think in the World Cup, we all saw the extra time being put on after the game. And everyone initially was like, what's going on here? What's this extra 15 minutes? But then everyone applauded it. Everyone liked it because everyone's like, okay, we are getting to see these players, on the pitch a bit more, and it stopped players time wasting, didn't it, Hal? You were there, you saw it.
Yeah, it did. And initially at the World Cup, it was just wild seeing 10, 11 minutes on the board going up for half time and for full time. But, you know, obviously, as David's saying, it's actually, that's the accurate amount of time that the ball is not in play. And we actually, I noticed it when we began, obviously, really in-depth tracking our games in the Premier League, and we'd sit down after games, and the analytical team, they would basically pull off all of the content of the game which wasn't in play. So we'd sit down and we'd say, you know, manager would say, okay, we're going to watch the game. We'd sit down, watch it back, and it would be ball in play, and we would be out within an hour. And we'd be like, didn't we play 90 minutes yesterday? It's like, no, that's the time that the ball is in play. So, yeah, David, I 100% agree and understand where that's coming from. But from a footballer per se, do we not feel that we're sort of moving too far towards, say, you know, American football style where it's all timed on the clock, and we'll lose that freedom of, you know, professional football and the 90-minute game, so to speak, because then it becomes really a game, like you said, based on accuracy, but we're losing that human side where there's, you know, you can't be completely accurate as a human and playing on the pitch.
Well, I take that point, but arguably the last 5 or 10 minutes of the game can be the most important, the most exciting. This is nothing, by the way, this campaign is nothing new. I've just dusted off. I don't know whether you can see this, guys, on the screen, right? But can you see that by any chance? So this is, I've been on this campaign, and I'll tell you when. This is a quotation, and I'll read it to you. It is a flaw in the game that referees are still responsible for timekeeping. You know who said that? None other than the great Sir Alex Ferguson. The date, September 2012. Right? So this is something for 10 years. Actually, I've been championing this campaign because the referees are the busiest man on the pitch. They do not need, if you ask any referee, they would tell you, they don't want to keep the time anymore. They don't need to. They've got too much. They're managing a game of football. They don't need to keep the time. And as we can see, the last 2-3 minutes can be very important to the game. And it was very refreshing in the World Cup that FIFA, to their great credit, decided to add additional time, the proper time, on to the end of the game. And that's why, as you quite rightly said, Hal, we saw 8, 9, 10 minutes going on.
What I would say, David, is that we saw that in the group stage of the World Cup, but once it came to the knockout rounds, it was more like business as usual. I do wonder how much of that was down to the television companies, and obviously particularly those commercial companies that need to get to breaks at a certain time. Is that an issue with your plan? Is that a potential flaw with this proposal?
No, I don't believe so at all. I think the television companies are getting extra 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the game. They're getting extra value. They're probably paying the same amount of money and actually getting another 3 or 4 minutes of extra football time. I think they'll be only too pleased in the end. So they'll have to wait for that.
David, so how will it actually work? You know, so say for example this gets implemented. Like, how does a game of football start, finish? Like, talk us through what it would look like in comparison to now.
I am not suggesting for 1 minute, when we're talking about pure time, it should be when time is wasted at a throw-in or a corner kick. But there's normally 4 or 5 areas of the game where time is wasted. Goal line celebrations, injuries, substitutions, VAR checks, and penalties. Now, if you add all those up, 1.5 minutes here, 1 minute there, 1.5 minutes there, it adds up to 8 or 9 or 10 minutes during the course of a game. But invariably, the referee during the first half will add on standard 1 minute, 2 minutes in the first half, 2 or 3 minutes in the second half. And we've now seen from the World Cup that is insufficient. And I just think we've got to get more accuracy into the game.
Since data was taken from sort of ball in play in 2006-07, again, this might shock a few people listening and watching right now. This is the lowest. Stoke versus Blackburn, 39 minutes the ball was in play for. 39 minutes. The longest, Man United versus Fulham back in 2012, 71 minutes. Stoke Blackburn, 39 minutes the ball was in play for. That's incredible. Honestly, it's incredible. And although people might, be listening right now saying, "Oh, we want our 90-minute football. Don't go to 60 minutes." When you hear that, you're not getting 90 minutes of football, are you?
No, you're not. Yeah. In fact, you'll probably get another 8 to 10 minutes. The fans will get extra value. So I don't see that's not an argument whatsoever. And above all else, where you've got inaccuracy into other areas of the game, timekeeping is important. And all I'm asking for ever is a trial. Let FIFA trial it at a junior tournament, right? An under-17 and under-20 tournament. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it works, and then move on from there.
So where are we at then, David, with that? Have you spoken to FIFA? Have you put this proposal to them? Is there an appetite for them to trial it?
Well, as you know, I was at the World Cup I had 5 glorious weeks, and I go on record as saying the World Cup in Qatar was the best World Cup I've ever attended. I managed to get 56 games out of the 64 games. Obviously, I'm talking to all of the FIFA officials. They know where it's at. I've made presentations to them. And I think it's slowly but surely we'll get it on the agenda. And the next thing is I'd like to see is, as I say, is a trial in a junior tournament to see how it goes.
There'll be some listening, David, and I'm sure you can understand this. And I think Hal mentioned at the top there, the comparison to American sports, the timeouts and sort of the stopwatch, in the NFL and the NBA. There are going to be some saying this sport's already trying to be Americanized with the advertisements, et cetera, et cetera. What do you say to those people?
Well, I just think you want accuracy today, don't we? I mean, if there actually has been stoppages for 5, 6, 7 minutes, let's have it added on at the end. That's only fair. It's right for both teams. And I think that's what it will come to in the end. And it ought to, because it's been one of the areas of the game that actually has, I don't say it's been forgotten, but needs attention. That is for sure.
If it's look, it's a 90-minute game right now, why don't we just do it for 90 minutes? Why can't we just stop the clock correctly every time something happens and get a 90-minute game? That's what we're wanting, no?
Right. Okay. Well, it is a 90-minute game, but we have obviously stoppage for injuries and goal celebrations. That needs to be added on. Just so you're aware, here are 3 questions I've recently had asked directly to the Premier League referees. Do you know how long it takes to score a goal, by the way? A 4-man move, how long from start to finish? How long did it take?
30 seconds.
Answer, 9.3 seconds was Marcus Rashford a couple of weeks ago. Mo Salah against Arsenal last year was 10.4 seconds. So it could be 10 seconds. So the first question I've asked the referees, can you be accurate to the last 10 seconds? Answer, no. Second question, do you agree that when the 4th official puts up the board for additional time, it's based on guesswork? Answer, our description would tend towards based on estimates, but we accept that it is not accurate and very difficult to be consistent. America put a man on the moon in 1969, and we can't keep the time of a game. Would you have any objection if timekeeping was not your responsibility? Answer, no. It would allow the referee to further concentrate on the game. Game, set, and match. That's all I have.
A bit like VAR, though, isn't it? So you got a man in Stockley Park that watches everything. I'm guessing there's going to be someone separately watching the timekeeping. This is all well and good for the Premier League, who can afford this, right? Someone else, employing someone else. What about lower down the leagues? How's it going to sort of funnel its way down to League One, League Two, and then even further down to the national leagues?
I understand that, but right at the top of the league, this is the showpiece of football. We want to get it right. You know, when we were playing football, we used to have jumpers for goalposts, but, you know, the game has moved on.
Yeah, I think he's right there. I don't necessarily buy into the argument that because you can't do it in League Two and National League and below, you shouldn't do it in the Premier League. I think you have to start somewhere. And obviously the Premier League clubs have the finances, the PGMOL have the finances as well. Have you spoken to Howard Webb, the new chief of referees? Is he on board with this idea?
Not telling you who I've spoken. All I can tell you, I've been rattling the cages for several years right at the top. And by and large, they are receptive. They're realising it's got to be looked at now. And as you know, I'm a great supporter of referees. They do a fantastic job. They're much maligned folk because they're always criticised, never praised. And I think this is an area that they don't need criticism on. And that's where I'm starting. It shouldn't be a national secret. Let everybody know what's going on. We're getting there with VAR. Soon there'll be better communication with VAR. I want to understand what VAR. Why, when a decision is taken on VAR, let the public know about it. Let the referee actually explain why it was offside, why it was handball, why it was a penalty. Let's have better communication there as well. That will come about. You'll see in the next couple of years, there will be a better dialogue between the referee and the fans at the stadium. We need that.
Yeah, we certainly do. David, before I let you go, Arsenal, your team, top of the table. What do you make of their start to the season?
Stop the race, that's what I say.
No added on time there then.
No added time, no extra minutes. David, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. David Dein, former Arsenal vice chairman.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.